Welcome to the series of recordings about Masaaki Imai's legacy. Today I'm joined in the studio by a very special guest and colleague from Spain, Borja Iglesias, senior partner for Kaizen Institute Western Europe. Welcome to the podcast, Borja.
Thank you so much, Aleix. It's a pleasure.
So let's start, as always I do, trying to remember first time that you met Masaaki Imai. You remember when was that?
Yes, I think it was 17 years ago, more or less. It was in Madrid. He came to Spain several times, and I remember he came to Madrid for making some seminars with different companies. We were in one of them, for example, was in a bank, one of the biggest bank I think in Europe, and we made a 3-hour seminar there with him. For me it was quite thrilling because it was Masaaki Imai, so I had read his books before. It was very special for me. I was quite, let's say, surprised on his simplicity, but also on his authenticity. I think when we think about Kaizen or Lean, sometimes we go a lot to the tools and to the technical part, but I learned a lot from him from the very beginning that Kaizen is much more than tools. It's much more about principles, and he was very good at that, at showing that common sense approach for business is much more powerful than a bunch of tools and complexity. So I think it was my first impression with him.
And during those kind of conversations that you had with him, you remember how many times you met him during all those years?
I think it was like 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 times with him. He came to Spain several times, but I also met with him in some, let's say, meetings globally.
So during those times that you met with him, probably conversations that you had with him, was there anything during those conversations that actually changed the way that when you started with Kaizen, you had an idea of Kaizen and changed the way that you saw Kaizen, leadership, improvement? What was the thing that stayed with you the most?
I think it's related with this. So at the beginning, I was a young engineer when I joined Kaizen Institute, and you have a lot of focus on processes improvement. But with Masaaki Imai and in general, when you go also to Japan, you understand that what's really effective from our philosophy, it's much more the principles. For example, I can tell a story of Masaaki when we were in this a seminar that we did, for example, with this bank. We were there with all the board members of the bank. They came from other countries to stay with Masaaki Imai. It was a very important figure at that moment. At the very beginning of the seminar, Masaaki Imai told them to go to the bathroom. I think it's not new. I think we already had some stories about this in the past. So he took all the members of the board. We went to the bathroom, and he showed them there were some papers in the floor. We were working with this bank for the last 1 year and a half. They were very proud of what they were doing. They thought they had a very good level of continuous improvement. And Masaaki Imai told them after coming back to the bathroom that they were not doing a good Kaizen there because they were not changing the culture. They were not changing behaviors. Because people, and he said quality is about doing the right things when nobody looks. And if you go and see how people behave when nobody looks, they are really not with good behavior. So you need to work more with the people, with the culture, with the behaviors. So it was a shock for them. And I think he did this also because in Masaaki Imai mindset, it's also about C-level being humble. So going to the shop floor, to the Gemba, understanding that we are not better people than the people that we have in the shop floor. I think he wanted corporate directors to understand that continuous improvement is about being humble and understanding that you are not perfect, that you need to do better. And it's also about the principle of respect for people. That I think is something that you can see when you go to Japan, and you understand that we are not really respecting people in our company. So the way they treat people in the shop floor is the same way that they treat the corporate directors. And this is something you can learn with this kind of, let's say, learnings with Masaaki Imai. Also about quality, for example, the way Japanese deal with quality is absolutely different on how we deal with quality. We think that if we make a defect out of 1 million, we have a very good quality ratios.
Yeah.
For them it's very poor, because for the customer that receives this poor part, they have 100% of defect, because it's the piece that you are looking for. This kind of change of culture, the way they are simple, the common sense approach is something that for me was really something that I took forever. And these conversations with Masaaki Imai, or this, let's say, direct contact with real Japanese culture, for me changed for me forever the way I understand what Kaizen means, actually.
I'm happy that you say these kind of stories, because we had colleagues from other countries as well around the world.
And the same.
And they don't say exactly the same stories. Even the toilet, I heard it from other colleagues, but they tell about stories not about a specific improvement or about specific change in the factory that he did or that he placed in the head of the executives, but about the culture, things related to what you just mentioned, Borja. But now maybe looking at our organization, like you are with us already 20 years, plus 20 years, right? Probably the Kaizen Institute that you met at the beginning of your career changed a lot also of what it is today. How do you think also our own methodology and the way that we do things, what you just mentioned, for example, change our organization?
I think we apply Kaizen internally, and I think it's probably our biggest competitive advantage. So if I see how other consulting companies that are our competitors, maybe it's a funny exaggeration. Let's see this first. But they are very commercial, so they are very politics. They always want to see or let the customer see that they are the best. They never make mistakes. They are always perfect. The result of their activities is a very nice report with the things to be done, but still to be done. We are completely different. So we are much more focused on shop floor and implementation. So our result is not a report, it's a KPI that has been improved. We are very humble and transparent. So if the results are not getting there, it's because our fault. So we don't blame the customer because the result was not good. It's our fault. So the way we think ourselves as the responsible for the results, the way we go to the shop floor, to the Gemba, so the things really happen, the way we involve people in the shop floor really to implement the changes with them, respecting them, is absolutely different on how our competitors do. Only working at a high level, not respecting people, only focusing on reports and things to be done. So I think the way we really apply Kaizen for ourselves, it really makes a difference. Our customers like a lot how we do it, because today they already know sometimes what they have to do. It's not about telling someone what to do, it's helping them changing the things. It's where the reality and the complexity happens. And this is why I think we are growing a lot, because we are in a very good position, different from our customers or from our competitors, and our customers like a lot our philosophy. Of course, internally we also apply Kaizen. We have our daily Kaizen meetings. We have a lot of projects also for improve ourselves. We involve a lot our people, so we are not differentiating in direction or workers. We are all colleagues, and we work all with the same targets and ambition. And we also have a policy at deployment and strat deployment. We apply also our hosting country methodology to implement ourselves our changes. We are very humble. We know that we have a lot of things to do better. And I think this is what are allowing us to go and grow.
And looking at these things today, as you are mentioning, and now looking at them in 20, 30, 40 years, how do you think actually it will change? Methodology-wise, company-wise, what is in future for us?
I don't have a vision of 20 years that are very different than the reality of today. So I think now we are in a moment with a lot of hype for artificial intelligence. We think it will change the way people work. It will substitute a lot of positions and jobs. I am not so positive or negative about this, depending on the perspective. If I see 20 years back in my life, many things have changed, but not so much. I can say that 20 years ago, I thought I would have an autonomous car, and I still drive myself. So 30 years ago, we thought that cars will fly, and it's still not, and probably will not in 20 or 30 years. So I don't think it will change so much. Of course, our tools will change a bit in terms of information. Probably will be better. This is something good for continuous improvement. Some of the usual bottlenecks when we want to go deeper in a problem is that data is not so good. We only have data from the Gemba, is good enough. But if you want to go to the real root cause, sometimes you need better data, and I think this will change for better in the near future. I think manual activities in industries will be a bit less because of automation, but it's something not new. So we work a lot with process industries that has very little people in the shop floor. People is more operating machines or maintaining machines, and continuous improvement there is even more important than in factories with a lot of manual activities, because the less people you have, probably the most important is that you are very well aligned with them. I think operators will move for technicians, and it's very important for technicians to have abilities and capabilities to improve and to communicate with others. So I think our business is about people, is about management. I think companies are, at the end of the day, a group of processes and people. It will not change in the next 20 or 30 years. I think continuous improvement will be more and more important, as I can see in companies that are more automated. And this is why I don't think we will change a lot in terms of methodologies or mindset. It is only that we will have better tools for analyzing and better data to address some of the repetitive problems we have in the daily basis.
So kind of embracing the new technologies to improve also our analytics, let's say, in data.
Yeah, I think the analytics will be probably the biggest change in the near future. Better data for understanding problems. But I don't see the machines solving the problems yet in 20 years.
Right.
Maybe not even in 60 years.
Maybe in 100, let's say.
Maybe in 100.
So now taking this message from you, Borja, and looking at these things like nowadays happening in the world, the rise of AI, digitalization, amongst others. If now we come back to the figure of Masaaki Imai, and he will be here with us today, hearing about all these new things that a few years ago were not with us, what do you think would be the advice from Masaaki that he would give us and that he would repeat all the time about Kaizen, even with all these things coming up?
Almost all the times I was with Masaaki, he was always repeating three topics. I think if he was here with us, he will keep saying the same. That was waste, flow, and synchronization. He was always repeating that our organization has a lot of waste. We are not using properly our resources in general for people, for material, for information. We are not creating flow. All our processes are very with a lot of discontinuities, and we don't synchronize properly ourselves. And I think if he was here, I think he was also worried about sustainability of our planet.
Mm-hmm.
He was always saying also that if you want to be green, you need to be lean, you need to streamline your processes. So I think if he was here, the message will be more or less the same: common sense, make use of your resources, organize yourselves, communicate properly, respect people. And with this simple but common sense approach, you will have better results and sustainability also for the planet. I think this is Masaaki.
Perfect, Borja. So thank you so much. I will leave it here for today, but thank you a lot for being here and sharing your inputs about Masaaki Imai and your memories with him.
Thank you so much, Aleix. It's a pleasure.
For the viewers that are with us, we will be having more recordings like this, so stay tuned and I'll see you soon.